You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Wow. That may very well have been the ugliest loss of the season for the Celtics. Zack Levine showed up big time for Chicago. The Bulls own the fourth quarter at the TD Garden, and the Celtics' fourth loss of the season at home. With that, we welcome you into our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer. Still to this day, cannot believe that Shaquille O'Neal played 37 games and made 36 starts for the Celtics during the 2010-2011 NBA regular season. You're right where you need to be. And if you want to chime in tonight, go right ahead. You're with us on the Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game, including a tough loss to the Bulls Thursday night at TD Garden right here on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. As always, you know the Locked On Celtics podcast feed is available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to talk about an ugly fourth quarter for Jayson Tatum and the Celtics. Mazzulla teed up. Brown teed up. Tatum teed up in that fourth quarter. Lots from Brian Scalabrine on this Locked On Celtics postcast. We also want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation. Watching live with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button and join the conversation. We want you to follow the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. You can also give us a follow on Twitter, now known as X, at Lennox on Hoops. Again, at Lennox on Hoops with questions, comments, or concern. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you will get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win that first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Celtics and Bulls both entering on mini two-game win streaks Thursday night. Second meeting of the season between the two teams. The Bulls have now won 3 in a row for the first time this year. First time this season. The Celtics up by 4 after the first quarter, up by 3 at the half, up by 4 going to the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, really go back to the third. Talon Horton-Tucker's had 2 solid games against the Celtics this season. Hit a bucket off glass late in the third quarter, then knocked down a 3 early in the fourth quarter. That tied the game at 90 apiece. The ninth tie of the game at that point, early on in the fourth. How about Mr. Springer seeing time on the floor? In the first half, then again in the fourth quarter as well. Talon Horton-Tucker, a jumper. Bulls up by 2. Celtics called a timeout. And then it just kind of got crazy in that fourth quarter. DeSuma really got going. They had no run. Bulls at one point scoring 12 straight points. They had a 19-4 run. And Derrick White fouled on a 3, hit the first, hit the second, hit the third. And first NBC Sports Boston note of the night. It seemed like, Brian Scalabrine saying, that might be a bad point right there for the Bulls as White hit on 3 free throws. That made it a 6-point game. So White hit the free throws. Bulls, a lot in that fourth quarter, just out-hustling. First to the ball, out-hustling the Celtics. Couple of bad misses, shot clock violation. Celtics got a turnover. Brown hit a 3. That made it a 3-point game, 6 in a row for the Celtics, and the crowd into it. Celtics got another stop. Brown did not get a whistle on a drive. There was contact. They played through it. White with a Tommy point, according to Brian Scalabrine, slow to get up as he kind of had the interception on a pass, and there was a foul near midcourt. But then 5:12 to go. Tie-up situation. Joe Mazzulla teed up quickly. Levine free throw, 4-point game. Then, before they had the jump ball, Peyton Pritchard jumping up instead of Brown. Brown got hit with a tee. Levine, free throw. Bulls up 5. Levine then knocked down a 3 to give him 32 points. And it was +8 at that point in time. And at that point, the Bulls outscoring the Celtics 22-10 in the fourth quarter. The Celtics weren't getting it done on the offensive end. They were not getting it done on the defensive end either. Patrick Williams, a 3 with a shot clock winding down. 9-point lead again. Then a technical on Jayson Tatum. And at one point, I'm thinking, Joe Mazzulla, call tonight. get teed up again, get tossed. And with the NBA League Pass, usually it goes off. The broadcast goes off. Mazzulla at the end of the game was going after the officials. Was he right to do so? I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm not coming on here and saying the Celtics lost because of the officials. You don't lose games by missing your free throws, but you do. You don't lose the game by officials. But the Bulls, hey, what's great about this for the Celtics? Come back and show your mettle. Show something Saturday in Chicago against the Bulls, who are going to have a lot of confidence playing on their home floor. Right now, a theme, Vucevic could be gone by the trade deadline in February. Zack Levine, terrific game, could be gone by the trade deadline in February. Could be gone by the time the Celtics and Bulls play back in Boston in January. We'll wait and see. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Celtics and the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit us up in the comments section. We're going to go there right now. Tough loss. Mike Driscoll checking in. 3 technicals in the fourth quarter. I'm interested to see what Mazzulla says. Mike, I'm right there with you. Has to say, and if he gets in trouble for storming on the court after the game as well to yell at the ref. Yeah, there's probably a fine in there, right? I don't think a suspension. Sam Cassell, the other assistants, did a nice job keeping him away. One more for Mike. Tough loss. And really, let me read this here. Tough one to really be mad at the Celtics team. Stats good enough to win most nights. The only glaring thing, Bulls made 3-pointers, which is what you have to do. You have to out-hustle the Celtics. You have to make the hustle plays, and you have to knock down threes. And early on in the first quarter, it just showed that it was going to be one of those nights. And Derrick White was interviewed at halftime, and I don't know if I should make something. I'm not making something of it. I'm just making a point of it. Derrick White was interviewed for the halftime interview before he went into the locker room. He looked winded. 2 games in 11 days. And again, you can play out a little different scenarios. Bulls played Monday night, so they had a couple of days off. Both teams well rested. But that 2 games in 11 days with the NBA Cup and the semifinals and the finals in Las Vegas, downtime, yes, but sometimes downtime's not the best thing. And again, you shake it off. Now you're playing, I think it's 7 games in 13 days before the calendar turns to 2025. But the Celtics in the first quarter, 3 of 16 from behind the 3-point line. Tatum knocked down 2. Pritchard knocked down 1. Everyone else 0 for 9. Tatum, 12 in the first quarter. Best score in the first quarter this season in the NBA. Ended up with 17 at the half. You can live with that. Then had another 12-point third quarter. But here's the thing, and we'll give the stat here instead of in numbers of the night coming up in segment number 3. But Tatum scored just 2 points in the fourth quarter. He also just took 3 shot attempts as well. 1 3 attempt. The Celtics were 3 of 17 in the fourth quarter on 3-pointers. That's just ugly. And they haven't had many nights like that. Drew Carter, I think, mentioned it in the end, 14 of 56, so well above their season average. The Bulls were 19 of 52. Bulls and Celtics 1 and 2 in 3-point attempts for a game, but the Celtics above 50, above 51 on average, well above their season average with 56 attempts. And the number is ugly. Tatum 4 for 11. Brown 1 for 8. Porzingis 2 for 7. A lot of line drive threes from Porzingis. Those are the ones I do not like. White was 3 of 12. Pritchard was 4 of 10. Holiday 0 for 4. So the numbers on the 3-point line ugly. Not very often the Celtics have been outshot on the 3-point line this season. Very few games. But they were outshot on the 3-point line by the Bulls. The Bulls, their hustle guys were out there. At one point in time, I think they had 1 starter on the floor. And the rest were reserves. And credit to Billy Donovan. You know, the Bulls might be playing, and Brian Scalabrine made mention of it. They have a first-round pick that's top 10 protected. But if they're outside the top 10, that first-round pick next June goes to San Antonio. So, again, they've got elite players, top players, let's say top players, Levine, Vucevic, on the trade block. Those guys are probably in the top 10 Levine might be in the top 5 in terms of players available. Now, the money involved in all those things, not going to be easy. Going to probably have to have 3 teams involved in a deal. But that's for another day. That's for the Chicago Bulls. But for the Celtics, 4th home loss of the season. Losses at TD Garden to Golden State, Atlanta, Memphis, and now Chicago. And all of a sudden, I think I'm going to be there anyway for Saturday's game with what will be our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. But overall, that was not Celtics basketball. I mean, I think we can say that. 4th quarter, Celtics outscored 35-22. They gave up 21 in the first quarter, 33 in the second, 28 in the third, and then 35 in the fourth quarter. And in that fourth quarter, let's see, the Bulls, 13 of 22 and knocked down 5 threes. That's success. It's not like you're selling yourself as the opposing team, but you know what you have to do against the Celtics. They took another high volume number of threes, missing 40-plus shots from the three-point line. And we'll look at assists and made field goals coming up, numbers of the night. I know Mike Driscoll and I always love that stat. We'll take a look at that one coming up in segment number 3 when we hit on numbers of the night. Broadcaster observations from NBC Sports Boston, Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine, and NBA Random Thoughts. You can share yours with us as well if you hit the comment button. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, talking about the Celtics loss, 117-108, lost the game in the fourth quarter at home against Chicago. Is that a no-no? It's pretty close. You don't want too many of those on the resume going forward. Glad you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Again, the Locked On Celtics postcast and the podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. And our Locked On Celtics postcast is sponsored by Built. If you're a renter, listen up. This is a total game changer. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments, just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks. It's completely free to join. With Built, earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points towards flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. With over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels in their program, the possibilities are endless. Access unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members. You can use your points for travel, and Built makes it so easy to turn rent into rewards. If you're already paying rent, why not make it work for you? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt, B-I-L-T, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, that's joinbuilt, BILT.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use our links so they know we sent you. Don't wait. Start earning rewards today with joinbuilt.com. And our Locked On Celtics postcast also presented by Game Time. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks is able to filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of seats for your event. Game Time features curated deals that make it easier to find the best price on great seats. With Game Time, you also have seat views before you buy. With seat views, you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you make your purchase. Get the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code LOCKEDONNBA, that's LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms to apply. Create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So again, the Celtics falling at home. Hit the comment button. Join us if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Bulls victorious at TD Garden, 117-108 the final. Bulls scoring 35 points in an impressive fourth quarter where there were 3 technical fouls on the Celtics. Mazzulla got the first, Brown the second, and Tatum got the third. Want to acknowledge our everydayers for making the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast their first listen every day. Celtics, again, 5th loss of the season. Jayson Tatum had another double-double, but it comes in a loss, and it comes where Tatum had just 2 points in the fourth quarter. Tatum, his second double-double of the season against the Bulls, had 35 and 14 in the Celtics, 138-129 victory against the Bulls back on November 29th. Levine, again, strong performance overall. Broadcaster observations of the night from Brian Scalabrine in the second quarter. Holiday is playing aggressive. I like it. He was. But Holiday, again, 0 from behind the three-point line. Not that Drew Holiday, again, I've said it before, and I don't think I've had anybody correct me. If you want to, go right ahead. But Drew Holiday becomes, the 5th guy in the starting unit, right? We saw against the Bucks a couple of games ago, hoisted up a lot of shots. Scal in the third. We're improving the All-Star game because the players don't try. Yes, they got into All-Star voting, which is now underway. Vote for Derrick White, all right? Vote for Derrick White to make the Eastern Conference All-Star team. Yes, they're changing it around and all that stuff. I don't even know if it'd be an Eastern Conference All-Star game. Brian Scalabrine basically said with the changes that they're going to make for February's All-Star game, he wouldn't be surprised if the Rising Stars in the finals and end up beating the NBA All-Star unit that makes it to, I guess, the final one. And then Scal, the final one from him in the fourth quarter. Not a great composure game in the fourth for the Celtics. Absolutely true on many fronts. But, again, the technicals, they're part of it. The Celtics were within 3. Levine hit 2 free throws on 2 technicals on Mazzulla and Brown. Brown got it just before they were about to jump it up in the tie-up situation, where a couple of players went to the floor. Brown thought he should have been in there. It was Pritchard that was in there. So you kind of go from there. But, it went from 3 to 5, and then it went back up to double figures. And the Bulls got it up in that fourth quarter. Their largest lead of the game was 12 in that fourth quarter. And they win at 117-108. Again, looking forward to Saturday, because I don't know that it necessarily gets chippy. But playing these games in back-to-backs, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 incidents where players have to be separated. I would think certainly frustration on the Celtics' part. And you're thinking after the game is over Thursday night in Boston, you're thinking, okay, how do the Bulls respond after losing in Boston and falling 0-2 on the season against the Celtics? No, the Bulls played well. Again, they've won 3 in a row for the first time this season. Let's hit NBA random thoughts before we go to segment number 3 and get in with our numbers of the night. A couple of random thoughts. Hey, 2 games in 11 days. Now, a stretch Thursday night started 7 games before the calendar turns to 2025. So this is an interesting stretch of games right now for the Celtics. The next 2 on the road. We're looking ahead already. We'll do that more in the third segment. But the next 2 on the road. In Chicago Saturday. And again, the Celtics will be looking to avoid a second straight loss. They have not lost 2 in a row at any point this season. Then it's off to Orlando. Watch a little bit of Orlando OKC before the Celtics got underway Thursday night. And without 2 of their top players in Bencaro and Wagner, but they still grind. So NBA Cup is now in the rear view. Do we tip our cap and say job well done to the NBA Cup champs, the Milwaukee Bucks? If you want to. With all this downtime for the Celtics and a lot of NBA teams with the semifinals and the finals taking priority and being on TV and no other games going on while they had the semifinals and the finals as well. A lot of people talking about the TV ratings around the NBA and how ratings are down. Cause for concern? Maybe. And yes, happy birthday wishes to Hall of Famer and Celtic legend Kevin McHale, born December 19th, 1957 in Hibbing, Minnesota. Happy birthday to the Hall of Famer, Kevin McHale. Numbers of the night. Look ahead. What do you make of Jayson Tatum scoring just 2 points and taking 3 shots in the fourth quarter for the Celtics. If you've got a note on that, hit us up in the comment section on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Numbers tonight, couple of them aren't very pretty for the Celtics. We'll discuss that next. Locked On Celtics postcast presented by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right there on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Numbers of the night in just a few moments. Season series now 1-1 between the Bulls and the Celtics. Ugly fourth quarter for Boston. And I want to get on off the bench here because interesting. Again, from game to game, you don't know. Hauser was out, back spasms. Tillman, who really doesn't play a whole heck of a lot, out with an illness, non-COVID related. But it was interesting where you see in the first quarter, you see Jaden Springer on the floor. Springer in the first half for the Celtics playing almost 9 minutes. 0 for 1 from the field and had some hustle plays. He was +3. Sometimes when you got a guy who doesn't play an awful lot like Jared Springer, you want to see the plus-minus. But he had some hustle plays. Then he saw time on the floor in the fourth quarter as well for the Celtics. So Springer got 4:31, 4 minutes and 31 seconds of action in the fourth quarter. And there were a couple of times in that second half where I'm just thinking, again, I'm not trying to second guess. I just wonder the thought process of the coaching staff and Joe Mazzulla. Luke Cornett, 19 seconds at the end of the game. Same for Queta, same for Walsh. I don't know if it's a message to those guys, but there are 3 guys who are going to give you some hustle minutes. And there's been a couple of times on the year where it's like, put those guys in to match going after those loose balls, those 50-50 balls that the Bulls were getting to consistently on Thursday night. So again, no Cornett. Again, their matchups and the different things and the feel and the process is all thought out before the game. But Cornett, 19 seconds when the game was decided late in the fourth quarter. The same for Queta and the same for Walsh. With the rotations, saw Porzingis and Horford on the court together in that first quarter, then again in the second half as well. But just interesting that, those guys, it's not for the lack of hustle. Again, it's likely, just the matchups and the different things, but all 3 of them, it's just interesting that Cornett, Queta, and Walsh, more the first 2, and really maybe Cornett, the way he's been playing over the last couple of games. But they don't see the floor until late in the fourth quarter. And I just felt like, okay, let's change things up here. Joe Mazzulla's done it before. He's sat guys for a little bit longer, extended periods of time, occasionally perhaps to send a message. But it was just interesting that those 3 guys, again, I'll go in order with Cornett, Queta, and then Walsh. But they can bring you something when you need it. Especially, Springer's on the floor in the fourth quarter. We haven't seen him in a while. Some numbers of the night. Again, Celtics and Bulls 1-2 in 3-point attempts going into Thursday's matchup at TD Garden. The Celtics just over 51 attempts on the season. Well over that. Missing 40-plus on the misses from the 3-point line. The Bulls, again, 1-2 in the NBA. One team, 51 attempts from the 3-point arc. And the number 2 team, 43.7, so 44 attempts on the season. That's a big differential. The pace, and the Bulls are number 1 in pace right now in the NBA. The pace, I thought, was in the Celtics' favor in the first half. Bulls did speed up the game in the second half. to their advantage as well. Celtics 5-game win streak against Chicago coming to an end. Their last loss against Chicago was in November of 2022, so over 2 years ago. The Bulls have now hit 10 or more threes in 28 straight games. That extends their franchise record. So they've hit at least 10 or more threes in 28 straight games now. And again, Chicago as a team, 19 for 52 on the three-point line. The Celtics, 14 of 56. That is a lot of misses. The Celtics just 25% on the season. I'm not going to count for you, but I want to see if I can get to a note here that I have on three-pointers. Just going to see if I can get it there real quick. And this is not quick in my Celtics. Just the second time this season where the opponent has made more threes. The first was Charlotte. So Charlotte back early on in the season, Celtics were 13 of 42, Hornets were 19 of 48, and the Celtics, let's see, had 42 misses against the Grizzlies and a loss. And Drew Carter made mention it. I'm trying to see. I think that might be just the second time. 40 or more misses for the second time in 4 games for the Celtics. What's on tap? Well, let's see how it goes Saturday in Chicago. I think we're in for a good one. I really do. I don't think it's going to be if the Celtics come in and just say, you know what, we're the NBA champs, what you did the other night, shame on you. But if the Bulls win back-to-back games against the Celtics in this home and home, then shame on the Celtics, right? And that's the way you have to look at it. And then Celtics continue on the road in Orlando against the Magic. Magic are going to be without 2 of their top players, but they play connected. And they still have talent. And again, they're a team, if they're going to win Monday night at home against the Celtics, first meeting of the season between the two, first of 3, they're going to have to out-hustle and outshoot the Celtics. Bulls did it on Thursday night in a 117-108 victory. And the last number of the night, just the 3rd loss of the season for the Celtics when taking a lead to the 4th quarter. 2 games in 11 days. Now the Celtics in a stretch of playing 7 games in 13 days. Chicago, then Orlando, then Christmas night at home in Boston against the Philadelphia 76ers. So this is an interesting stretch, and I've touched on it before. When the calendar turns to 2025, it's going to get real interesting for the Celtics. And now with the losses that they have on the season, 6 and 4 at home, there's a formula. There's a way you beat the Celtics. I'm not saying you have to sell out, but you darn well better outshoot them from the three-point line. One more. Mike Driscoll's checking in. The spread to start the game was -15. It's like those betting places don't watch the games. Bulls play well against the C's. Yeah, and I think they made reference to the line, Mike, and I appreciate that, during the game at some point. And it might have been in the 4th quarter. It was a little bit of a scramble in that 4th quarter. But just interesting. Yeah. Bulls didn't play to the line, did they? At the start of the game and at the end as well. Hey, your favorite podcast, now a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with all the new with all the information with the new free Locked On Celtics newsletter. As always, we appreciate you joining us along the way. Tip of a cap to our sponsors, Built, Game Time, and FanDuel. With you Saturday night after round 2 between the Celtics and Bulls and round 2 in Chicago. We'll be on Saturday night within minutes of the final buzzer with our latest edition of the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel with the Locked On Celtics postcast. Locked On Sports Boston, number 1 place to hang out after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics every day.